Let's bring in our next guest, B. Thiagarajan, who is the Joint Managing Director at Blue Star. Mr. Thiagarajan, great to have you with us this evening as well. If you can share your views on GST, the kind of benefits that are going to accrue to you, like I was asking the two gentlemen just before you, the kind of, what sort of indirect tax benefits that are likely to come your way thanks to GST?
It is interesting that we are discussing this subject today, and there is a widespread excitement over this subject. So first of all, I would like to thank the members of the Parliament for passing this bill, putting aside their political differences. Second is that I also feel proud that as a country, irrespective of many challenges that we have got, we are able to go ahead and carry out reforms. Of course, it is taking more time than one anticipated, but eventually India gets there like any other country. Now, coming to the specifics, I am very cautious in the sense many legislations we have celebrated when it is passed. Later on, the corporate sector had gone back to say that, look, this is incorrect, that is incorrect, this should have been, because in the fine print, there will be certain issues. You take the company's bill which was passed, everyone was very happy, including me, but later on we figured out there are a lot of things that need to be amended. In the competition law, the same thing happened. So one hopes that all the differences, concerns, everything have been taken care of, but I am of the opinion when the notifications get published, there will be issues which we will have to resolve through discussions and agreements. This is this is based on my own experience in the past 2-3 decades. I know it will be looking simple, but any radical change is going to bring a lot of pain also. But it is worth enduring that pain for the overall benefit of the nation, benefit of the corporate, benefit of the stock market. As far as Blue Star is concerned, we are fully ready. We are prepared. If it is effective date is going to be April 17, we can go ahead and implement it. There is absolutely no problem with regard to the readiness. One of the key decisions we have taken in the recent past is to set up a manufacturing unit in Jammu, which takes into account the SENMAT benefit that is applicable, and our understanding is that irrespective of the implementation of the GST, those SENMAT benefits will continue in the same manner, and this is one of the critical decision points for us. So we will be looking into the fine prints to understand those benefits on which we have set up the factory for 10-year benefit is valid. This is very critical for us. Other than that, there is going to be some cost increases arising out of services that we will avail. You are all aware very much that the services cost will go up, and at the same time there will be certain savings in the input costs. And I am of the opinion it is more or less kind of neutral. We will be adjusting the prices to only to a minor extent to take care of it. I do not foresee any kind of a problem at all. But we have to go through this problem of higher service costs, how that will get adjusted in the pricing, because services element gets into the costing as well. And in terms of warehousing footprint, supply chain redesign, we have already worked out, assuming that GST will be there and it is fully taken care of. I would not be commenting, or I am not in a position to comment that the prices will come down or go up, but at the same time I do have a concern with regard to the Make in India program, where the imported goods, if they are going to directly reach the customers, may be cheaper rather than a good which is manufactured in India and sold. This subject also has been debated. The government is supposed to be resolving that issue so that the domestic manufacturing increases. These are my thoughts on the subject of GST. I repeat, there will be pain in understanding the fine print, and I do not think that everything will be sweet there. There will be issues to be resolved. This is what is my opinion.
Mr. Thiagarajan, you're sounding cautiously optimistic about GST, and that to me is refreshing because most people are extremely gung-ho, like you mentioned as well. But of course, analysts, they're estimating margin gains between 300 to 400 basis points for your sector, and this because of cost savings in a post-GST era. So tell me what your view is on this. Do you think those kind of benefits could come your way?
First of all, I would request you to also note one important change. Currently, the excise duty element is part of the revenue. In quite a few companies, the accounting practice allows that. In lieu of excise duty, now GST comes in. The proposal is that GST will be removed from the income. So it is quite likely the revenues of the companies drop by that percentage point. So you get the point that today's revenue reported in the financial results includes excise duty. It will be removed because the GST has come into picture. There is no excise duty there, in which case the company's top line reduces. The margin percentage automatically goes up because the numerator is going to be reduced. Okay, the Institute of Chartered Accountants and others have made representation that whether GST should be included in the top line or excluded from the top line. I have a feeling, as is the practice across the world, the top line will not be including. So the paradigm is changing. You will see the corporate income dropping by to the extent of the excise duty, and therefore the figures are not going to be comparable. That is the first point I want to make. In terms of the margins, I do not think as of now there is going to be any like-to-like basis increase or decrease in the margins. At least the product categories in which we are working, we are very clear the margins will hold.
All right, and Mr. Thiagarajan, if you can also help us understand the kind of cost savings that you'd be seeing post the implementation of GST. Are they going to be huge? Are they going to take their time to come? In what span of time are you expecting these to come your way?
Yeah, but the effective rate is also going to be determining that, isn't it? See, eventually it is not that the government is going to lose the revenue. All put together, they have to achieve a revenue neutral situation. That is the first point I want to make. And the services rate, services get fully taxed in this particular regime. And therefore, I am very, very cautious unless I see the details. Like, for example, whether air conditioners will get into the luxury goods category. And we are making an assumption that it will be in 18%, right? Which is not, in my hands to say that at all. I will be erring by making that assumption. The bill is being tabled. Subsequent to the bill, there will be further bills and the regulations that will get published. And I am in the air conditioning sector, which one can take in view. It is not an essential item, therefore it is going to be taxed higher than that 18%. Therefore I am unable to comment. And yes, I think in the long run there is going to be many other savings that are going to come into picture. I am with you in that, but I am not able to comment, at least for the coming financial year, assuming that April 17 it will get implemented, there is going to be some margin difference. Imagine one more point, that we are also significantly in the contracting business. Okay, the orders have been received, partially executed, crossing a particular implementation period, a job that has commenced, work in progress, going to the next financial year. We are in the service business where the annual maintenance contract commences in any particular month. They will be crossing. Now, for a pro rata period of 3 months or 4 months or 5 months or 6 months will be under the old tax regime, and in the new tax regime will come into effect rest of the period. This is a particular challenge we have to keep in mind. I have to deploy manpower resources, discuss with the customers and get the required amendments for that. There is one important work that has to be done in this respect. And again, set off taking, there will be an issue. That is how I am going to be taking a set off for a pro rata period and the rest of the period under GST. And the third part, you are very well aware, the current VAT returns or excise returns, they all happen in a 1 year, 2 year period. Once they move to GST, all over the country people will say close those returns pertaining to the previous year. So there is going to be enormous amount of workforce that is going to be invested there. I am keeping in mind all these challenges to say I am not going to be now saying the prices will become cheaper or the margins will improve. I am unable to make this comment. And the entire financial sector has to prepare for the income itself, it is not comparable.
That's right. A lot of things to kind of adapt ourselves to. All of that is going to happen, and it's going to take its own time. Immediately, until we get a fix on those tax rates, that's where the difficulty is in trying to imagine how exactly this is going to work. Mr. Thiagarajan, I want to thank you for joining us with your perspective, and we respect the kind of skepticism that you're coming in on this as well, because a lot needs to be watched in terms of how we're able to adapt and how this entire process is going to pan out. And of course, the key question is on the effective rate as well. And joining us from the capital right now,